Hello everybody, good evening, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news. Sir Jim Ratcliffe looks to bring Sir Alex Ferguson back into the fold to use him for advice as he looks to take Manchester United back somewhere near the top. Also, we'll be talking about the options for Director of Football and how Sir Alex Ferguson could have an influence on that. We'll be talking about the latest around Tenho and Varan and also as well talking about the Glazers and look, a cold harsh truth that I mentioned earlier on. We'll be talking about that as well. This is the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and welcome to the evening show. So let's start off with this big story. Is it a shock return? Is it common sense? Sir Jim Ratcliffe is expected to take guidance from Sir Alex Ferguson as he prepares to begin his major overhaul of the football club. Now, we've had a poll running for a little bit of time before the start of this show where 74% of you say that you're happy with Sir Alex Ferguson getting back involved with the club. And I've got to say, I'm happy that 74% of you are happy that Sir Alex Ferguson could be back involved. There is a risk. I suppose I'll hit the negative before I hit the positive. There is a risk. He's been out of the game for 10 years. The game has moved on massively in 10 years, of course. He's been through some personal trauma recently as well. The passing of his wife, Sir Bobby Charlton. He's had his own health issues as well. So Sir Alex Ferguson's not coming back to Manchester United to manage the club or anything like that. That would be ridiculous. But in a time where we've heard about ex-players getting involved in the club, from Neville to Ferdinand, from David Beckham to Edwin van der Sar, I think none of them have anywhere near the pedigree of rebuilding a football club like Sir Alex Ferguson. Sir Alex Ferguson is a genius of the sport. He's well read, he's an intelligent guy, and you know what? With what's gone on in his personal life over the last few weeks, maybe he needs something to focus on, and maybe this is a masterstroke bringing him back involved. No one's expecting him to manage the club. We know Ten Hag has spent time with him over the last year. I think if you're looking to rebuild a football club, the principles are pretty much the same. Aberdeen to Manchester in 1986 to dominance in the 90s and the noughties. There are principles that you put in place, and he came into a club that was broken and change things around. Of course, he's not going to be able to coach the team anymore. I wouldn't be looking to Sir Alex Ferguson for tactical advice because Sir Alex Ferguson was never a coach anyway. He was a manager. He was a manager of people who had coaches to coach. Pep Guardiola is a coach. Jurgen Klopp is a coach. Erik Ten Hag is a coach. Sir Alex Ferguson's genius was management. And those management principles are why, when Sir Alex Ferguson has done management speeches to business and other areas of industry over the last 10 years, people turn up and listen. He's a manager. And those principles of Manchester United could be really, really important. And I will take them any day of the week over an ex-player who's played the game. So, look, I like this. I think it's common sense. It could be PR, let's be honest. I'm an idiot. I've just realised that. But I said this 2 or 3 days ago, an interview with Gary Neville, support from ex-players. It's very clever for Sir Jim Ratcliffe to do that. What's more clever than utilising Sir Alex Ferguson? Some people feel that the Glazers did that. Some people are resentful towards Sir Alex Ferguson because the Glazers got hold of the club. You speak to certain fans and they go, I don't think he's out of that equation. I think he is involved in why the Glazers bought the club. To me, he's beyond reproach. This guy gave me, the best years of my footballing life. I love Sir Alex Ferguson, and maybe I'm an old romantic myself, but I like the idea of him being involved because I believe the guy still turns up, like Sir Bobby Charlton, every game, turning up to Manchester United. It's his life. And I think there is nothing that he would want more than to knock Man City off their perch or everybody else off their perch and bring them back. Whether he's capable of doing that anymore is yet to be known, but there will be advice that he can give. There will be avenues that we can go down because of Sir Alex Ferguson. So I've got to say, this is not PR that's making me spin, but this is logical. Again, if we'd been bought by Qatar, I'd expect them to get Sir Alex Ferguson involved. So I don't think we're doing anything here that's breaking the mold or rocket science. If I was a billionaire and I bought the football club, I'd be talking to Sir Alex Ferguson. I'd be sacking my CEO. I'd be sacking my director of football. I've not heard anything yet that makes me go, oh, that's innovative and different, because some of these things are open goals. New CEO, new director of football. Speak to Sir Alex Ferguson. They're open goals. If you don't do these things, you're not even past first base. I'm waiting for the more innovative things to happen, but look, I can't argue with this. Mama, welcome to Members Club, and let's hope Sir Alex can get them to move off the ball, says Emil. Look, I don't think it'll be about the footballing side. I think it'll be about the vision side, the structure, and all those sort of things. Sir Alex Ferguson had this thing I mentioned the other night. He knew what a Man United player was. At the moment, we don't have any of those players, so we need to bring that back. Do you think United will ever be dominant again, says Jennings? I think that's a huge question. I really, really do. I think that's a huge question. But there's another aspect to this story from the Telegraph. So Sir Jim Ratcliffe is expected to take guidance from Sir Alex Ferguson as he prepares to begin his major overhaul of the club. It goes on to say, while Sir Alex Ferguson is a long-term admirer of Dougie Freedman, Atalanta's Lee Congerton, Paolo Medini and Ricky Mazzara, and formerly of AC Milan, and Andrea Barta of Atletico Madrid are also under consideration for the sporting director role. Well, we're going to talk about that in a moment, but look, that might worry people. Sir Alex Ferguson being an admirer of Dougie Freedman. With all due respect to Dougie Freedman, he ain't fit to lace the boots of people like Andrea Barta or Paul Mitchell. So look, or Michael Edwards, that he's not. He is what I would describe as a risk, if I'm being honest. And we can't afford to take risks. We've got to go for specialism. We've done risks. We've got to go for specialism. So look, Sir Alex Ferguson made mistakes as a Man United manager. Jemba. Beppe. There are plenty of Prunier. There are loads of mistakes that he made. That goalkeeper from Torino, and I can never forget his name. He made a lot of mistakes. He wasn't beyond getting things wrong. In the main, he was a genius, but I wouldn't be getting Dougie Freedman, and I wouldn't be taking that advice. But I certainly think there is some things he can help us with. Jazz says, you're not an idiot, but a prat. We love you all the same, and thank you for your work. Thank you, Jazz. And Mike Bridge says, Andy Mack. And do you think having any advice... What's wrong with the mic? Do you think having advice from Sir Alex Ferguson will help get rid of unwanted players? Says Tafari. Well, Taibi, that was his name. Oberton, another one. I always think that... Is the mic a bit loud? Is the mic a bit loud? Shall I turn it down? Let me know, quick. Is it too loud? I can turn it down. It's a little loud. Okay, I'll just knock it down a bit there. I think that, look, on the director of football, I want to talk about that. I do want to talk about that. And I want to talk about what this means for Ten Hag. Because I've heard a few things today. I saw something today, and I forget where it was from. I think it was on MUFC MPB Twitter account. And it was something along the lines of, Sir Jim Ratcliffe won't be buying Ten Hag players in January. He'll be buying players that fit the sporting vision. And I thought, well, that doesn't mean anything. Greetings from South Africa, Raygard. That doesn't mean anything. That's really inflammatory. I don't think that, what does that even mean? Sir Jim Ratcliffe won't be buying Ten Hag players in January. He'll be buying players that fit the structure and vision of the club. So he's sacking Ten Hag then. And then you get these people going, oh, this is great news. And it's the same thing that I think the Manchester Evening News wrote about, or somebody wrote about quite recently. Manchester United, I think Gary Neville said it as well. Manchester United need to stop signing players for the manager and have structure. And they're only 25% right. You don't get Pep Guardiola as manager and then buy players that you like. Like, that's not what works. It doesn't work. Chelsea have done this. Real Madrid have done this in the past. You don't do that. You don't do that. They're completely wrong, these people who say we've got to stop buying players for Ten Hag. What we've got to do is put a director of football in place. So that if we have a director of football in place and Ten Hag says to me, go and buy Onana, I say, no. And he goes, why? And I say, because it's 50 million quid to replace a goalkeeper that's doing really well. And we could spend that £50 million on more important areas and revisit this in 12 months because De Gea will be fine for a year. That's the sort of conversation. Now, you might not agree with that conversation, but that's what you need a director of football for. You're not buying Ten Hag players, you're just managing him. So, but people don't understand that. They don't think about what it means. They read, oh, we won't be buying Ten Hag players, we'll be buying players for the structure. And they take the information from that and think we're just going to start buying players that Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants. That's not how it works. Pep Guardiola has an idea of the player he wants. He speaks to his sporting director and they come to an agreement together on what they should go for. And that is what we need. We do not need a director of football who says to Ten Hag, I don't care what you want, I'm buying this. That's a recipe for disaster. That's Galactico Real Madrid. That's current PSG. That's current Chelsea. You've got to have that. Jurgen Klopp's got it. Arteta's got it. De Zerbi's got it. And so has Pep. That's what you need. So we are going to buy players for Ten Hag in consultation with the director of football and the vision of the football club. And that's the truth. That's what needs to happen, not one side or the other. I love Sir Alex, but we need to evolve as a club. This is just spin. I'm more interested in bringing in top directors, coaches, recruiter and negotiators, says Jose. And I'll repeat what I said this afternoon as well. When you talk about spin, factually, this is factual, the only people who can be putting out credible news at the moment is the Glazers. Tell me I'm wrong. The only people that can put out credible news at the moment is the Glazers. So anybody who's putting out news that turns out to be correct, surely they're being briefed by the Glazers, because Ineos and even Sheikh Jassim will not put stories out because they're under an NDA. Sheikh Jassim is out of the purchase of Manchester United and still hasn't done an interview, which he will, about the sale of Manchester United. If you were out of the sale process 4 weeks ago, you'd be itching to give your side of the story. And he hasn't done it because he's under an NDA. And if he does, he could potentially face trouble. And Ineos are the same. They cannot put stories out about what's going to happen until this is officially announced. They've been told about that and warned about that back at the start of the year by the Rain Group. However, who's running the process? The Glazers. They're allowed to put information out. It's their club and they can sell things. So I would say to you, anybody putting information out that turns out to be correct, where is that information coming from? Well, you don't have to be a bloody detective to figure out it's probably coming from America. It's probably coming from the Glazers. Because if it's coming from anywhere else, they're seriously jeopardising ending up in court in breach of an NDA. So look, I get the spin. My point is, I get the spin. I understand the spin because I feel at the moment there are credible bits coming out. And if they are coming out, in my opinion, they are coming from Glazers or people close to the Glazers or close to Manchester United because it's safer for them to do it. And therefore, if stories are coming out that are being proved to be true and they're coming from the Glazer side, I wouldn't trust it as not being spin, to be honest, I've got to say. People mad at Ten Hag when fourth choice don't work, says Sean. And my only concern with bringing back Sir Alex is that he handpicked Moyes as his successor. But having him around, the players could check their egos, says Caleb. Yeah, and I think it's that sort of open-mindedness that's really important. Because, yes, you're right. Sir Alex Ferguson did say get behind David Moyes, and I couldn't do it. It's a shame we weren't doing United Stand at the time because I remember messaging my best mate from Ireland the night before Moyes was appointed. And I was like, I just do not want him. I do not want him. And he was like saying, look, he's done a good job at Everton. Sir Alex thinks he's good enough. You know, let's give him a chance. And I was like, I genuinely think this is a massive mistake. And that was the night before we appointed him. And it was a massive mistake. And Sir Alex Ferguson told us to get behind him. And the club probably listened to Sir Alex, giving him a 6-year contract. We gave David Moyes a 6-year contract. No manager since then has been given anywhere near that. Not Mourinho, not Van Gaal, not Ten Hag. We gave David Moyes a 6-year contract. Probably on the advice of Sir Alex. So he did get that wrong. And it's amazing because he'd been a manager of Manchester United and he couldn't see that David Moyes wasn't right. So look, anybody who takes advice from anybody, if you're taking advice from somebody and you're going to follow it to the letter, really, you shouldn't be in a position of power. At times, you've got to realise that even the most respected voice might not be what you agree with, and ultimately the decision making comes down to you. That's what leadership is. But forget Moyes, forget Jemba. Look at the raft of experience and knowledge and intelligence Sir Alex Ferguson has. Look at the decision making around his however many years at Manchester United, all those decades. There is a hell of a lot of positive information you can take from him. The things I would take from Sir Alex is, welcome to the Members Club, Lindsay. If I was Sir Jim, and you've got to question why the Glazers never did this. The Glazers could have done this for the last decade. But if I was Sir Jim, the things I'd be interested from Sir Alex was how he built the club from 86 to 92. Those 6 years are what I'd be interested in. Because, it's a different game now. It's a different game now. Could Sir Alex Ferguson have built Man United from 86 to 92 in the modern game? No, he'd have been sacked in 89. The social media outrage towards the manager in 89 against Sir Alex Ferguson would have been as bad as anything we've seen from Mourinho and Ollie. So he'd be gone. Also, there wasn't a Man City or a Newcastle around at that time. So there wasn't this, juggernaut either. But it was still a club that hadn't won a league title in nearly 20 years when he took over it. And it took him 6 years to then win a league title. So there will be bits that we can take from Sir Alex. And it would be foolish not to listen to him. And to be honest with you, as I said, if I had the choice between speaking to Sir Alex or any ex-player that's played for us in the last 20 years, I'd lock them out the door and talk to Sir Alex. What can an ex-player tell us? None of them are successful managers. None of them are successful leaders. They're just ex-players who were good on the pitch. I don't need that information. I don't need that information. I've already got players who are good on the pitch. I need people who know how to run football clubs. I need people who know how to rebuild football clubs. Which takes me onto the director of football. For me, I'm just going to say it. I like the idea of Paul Mitchell. There's no doubt he's got pedigree at Southampton and Spurs and Leipzig and Monaco. And I mentioned this afternoon, Son, Mane, and Nkunku and many others happened on his watch. And Paul Mitchell, I think, will get the job. However, my personal choice would be Andrea Berta at Atletico Madrid. He's been there a decade, and basically look at Atletico Madrid's record in the last decade in the transfer market. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Oblak, Griezmann, Lamar maybe didn't work out that well, actually, but there are so many. There are so many. Llorente. I mean, basically, just look at Atletico Madrid over the last 10 years. And the players he's brought in have been from all over the place as well. They're not all coming in from the Spanish league. I just think he would be the guy I would go for. And yeah, we've all got our preference. I mean, I'm not going to push this like I did Ten Hag over Pochettino, because I do like Paul Mitchell and I think he will get the job. But I think if we wanted best in class, what I like about Berta is that he's been at Atletico Madrid for a decade. And I think that longevity, and football's changed massively in 10 years, to stay at the same club for 10 years and keep evolving it and keep evolving it and keep evolving it. And over that 10 years, Atletico Madrid have won La Ligas, they've been to Champions League finals, and they've got no right to do that against Real Madrid and Barcelona. And to keep evolving and keep your finger on the pulse of the transfer market for 10 years at the same club without becoming jet-lagged or jaded, I think it's really interesting. I don't think United will go for him. I know we've been linked to this. Is it Congerton, who's at Atalanta? He's actually Welsh. Nothing against that. But Ricky Masala, I can't pronounce his name. I think he was at Roma. Maldini's been mentioned. But for me, I think it will be. I think it will be Paul Mitchell, and I'd be very, very happy with that. Remember, Paul Mitchell's got a very close relationship with Ralph Rangnick, so he's certainly very, very, very well experienced. But my hunch is Berta would be the right guy. Has experience of managing a massive football club as well. Atletico Madrid are a massive football club, so yeah, that's what I would do. But I don't really think United are in that race. I know Spurs were looking at him a year ago, but yeah, that's where I would go with it. Sir Alex Ferguson as director of football, says Gaze. Look, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Son says, that's it. I'm coming to United in January. I'm bringing Kim Min-jae and Hwang Hee-chan with me. We're going to dominate the league and take City. I mean, I'd love a signing like that, to be honest with you. I'm worried Freeman is already in place, being mentioned with top names so that when he is announced, we can be duped into thinking he's of that quality by association, says Patrick. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. Thank you very much for the super chat, Patrick. And do get your comments in, of course, about what we're talking about tonight. I would take Rangnick back, Krish. I think he spoke the most sense, and I think he delivered the most sense, and he knows how to rebuild football clubs. We missed the trick with Ralph Rangnick. Dougie Freedman doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, apparently he's done a good job at Crystal Palace, but their end of the lesson, he's done a good job at Crystal Palace. This is Manchester United. It's too much of an experiment. It's too much of a risk. This would be a mistake of epic proportion. What does Dougie Freedman know about the quality of player we need to bring to Manchester United? I need somebody to come into this job and not treat it as work experience. This is where we went wrong with McKenna and Carrick, who are both doing great jobs in the Championship, but they were inexperienced amateurs, apprentices, with Ollie. It was a bloody nightmare. But look at McKenna now and look at Carrick now. They've gone down to a level where they can learn the game, and they'll probably come back in 4 or 5 years and be top-level coaches. But we brought them in too soon. Dougie Freedman, for me, would be huge risk. And we don't need to do that. We're Manchester United. Why would you go and get an inexperienced director of football who's never done it at this level when you could go and get a Paul Mitchell or a Berta who have done it for over a decade at the top level? Well, Berta's done it at the very top level, and I think you could say that Mitchell has just been around the top level. So for me, it's got to be one of those two, because why not? They'd love the job, and why not do it? And also, let's not forget, Paul Mitchell is free, which will be music to the ears of the Glazers. That's why Paul Mitchell, I think, will get it anyway, but he's also free. You don't have to go and pay a release to Atletico Madrid or Crystal Palace or Atalanta. He's free. So I think that's where we'll end up. Murta worked at Everton, and how's that turned out, says Mario Franco. Yeah. Well, Murta came with Moyes and stayed at the end of the day. Yeah. Thank you very much for that. Rangnick looking for a big bundle if he came back, says Nobby. And Paul Mitchell can sell shampoo to Ten Hag, says Christian. And yeah, but does Mitchell want to come to United, says Eyeball Paul. Eyeball Paul, what a film. Love it. Kevin and Perry go large. I think Paul Mitchell desperately wants the Manchester United job. The only thing with Mitchell is, everywhere he's managed, you're boxing up. Southampton, underdogs. Spurs, underdogs. Leipzig, underdogs. Monaco, underdogs. Man United, we're technically underdogs, but we want to be favourites. So it's a big step for him, and it's a big job for him. But whoever Man United go for, my message to Sir Jim and the Glazers or whoever's running this show would be, go for the best you can get. Go for the very best you can get. Because if you don't, and you get it wrong, you'll be criticised. But if you go for the best, you can't really be criticised then if you go and get the best. And I'd say that with the CEO as well. Can I just say as well, our Christmas jumpers have all sold out. I said that the other day, but we have just released a couple more prints of jumpers as well. I think the link is, I think you can see 3 of them below. The Goldbridge Merry Christmas, your Pratt jumper is back out again as well. So if you're looking to get yourself Christmas jumpers this year with a United Stand theme, check them out. And I think there's one pinned in the chat as well. So we've just released 2 more designs today. You can't get the knitted jumpers anymore, but we have got loads of other designs that you can get. I'll be wearing a couple next week because I've just ordered them. Stay away from Congerton. He flopped at Celtic, says Jim. Mate, to be honest, I think there's just a lot of names being put out at the moment. I think it will be Paul Mitchell. As I said this morning, if you're going to announce somebody and everyone knows who it's going to be, guess what you do? This is what you do. We know we're going to get a director of football. We know it's going to be Paul Mitchell. It's a little bit boring. So what you do is you make it about, you hype it. And how do you hype it? You make out you're looking at other people. So, again, this is clever from the Glazers because I think their PR over the last 11 months has been masterful for them. It's been sickening for us. But all the spin, all the PR, all the credible news over the last 11 months has come from the Glazers, in my opinion. because they're the only ones who can legitimately put it out there. And I think this is them again. Director of football will be Paul Mitchell, but let's make everybody think we might go for someone else. Then when we give it Mitchell, everyone will go, oh yeah, he's won. I think Dougie Freedman is a red herring. I think that's meant to make us go, please don't, please don't, please don't. And then you don't, you go, yeah. I think Paul Mitchell's already got the job. I'd be stunned if he hasn't got the job. But I would go Berta, as much as I like him. Why don't you do it, Goldie? They would never give me the job. I'm not qualified. Do a jumper giveaway, says Sam. We are doing jumper giveaways, but you need to be at the Christmas show where you can get the tickets in the link in the video description, December the 11th. I was going to use one of those, you know, those T-shirt guns where you wrap them up and go like that. But I said, you know what? Knowing me, I'll try and aim for someone at the back and I'll accidentally dip it and smack someone full on in the face. Give them a nosebleed. I'm getting sued. So, shoo! That's what I'd do. Yeah, so we are giving away a load of jumpers at the Christmas show if you're going to be there. It's Plan B, says Monaco is a big club. They're not really. They're not. They play in the French league and they're not even the biggest club in the French league. So, yeah, no, they won't. Do you think Sir Jim will be in for January, says John? I'm waiting on the news just like you are. Yeah. Come and do a show in New York, says Wally. I would love to. I'd love to. Anyway, back to the news. Interesting story in The Athletic today. You might have seen it about Raphael Varane. Apparently, he's got no issue with being a sub in the Manchester derby. I think this is a bit of a smoothing over from Varane's camp and Man United's camp because I'm a massive fan of Raphael Varane and I want him to play for Manchester United. And I think this is just a bit of, I suppose it's PR, but I think it's a bit of smoothing a bad situation because United can't afford another one. So apparently Varane didn't have an issue of being on the bench for the Manchester derby. Bollocks! 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 Hear ye! Hear ye! Bollocks! It's bollocks. Of course it is. I mean, any professional footballer who is left out of a Manchester derby for two centre-backs that you know you're better than doesn't sit there and go, I'm okay with that. I actually don't want him to be okay with that. I actually want Rashford, Bruno, Varane, Casemiro to be fuming if they get dropped for a Manchester derby because that's winning mentality. So I don't really get what this story is all about. Varane was okay with being benched in a Manchester derby. No winning player is happy with being benched, full stop. But I think what this is really is about smoothing it over to try and prevent a problem. And I would imagine Varane, Ten Hag and Man United have had a chat and said, look, resolve. Let's resolve this and move forward. And I agree and I believe that's what's happened. I think that they've, you know, Varane is a professional. He's probably spoken with Ten Hag and the club and said, look, it doesn't benefit any of us, does it, to go down this route? I will stay and fight for my place back until you tell me that I'm leaving. And that could be January, it could be next summer, but I'm a professional, let's get on with it. And I think that's where we are today. And that's great. And I do agree that that's where we are today. I think Varane, Ten Hag and the club are fine. And it's about let's be professional between now and January or now and the summer and get on with it. And I think that's where we are. But I don't agree for 1 minute that he was fine with being dropped for the Manchester derby. And also, when he came on against Copenhagen, it was very, 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 very clear that he wasn't fine. He looked miserable when he came on, and he probably had his worst game in a Man United shirt. So I think there was a period of a couple of weeks where Varane was disillusioned and upset and angry and frustrated. But it's good to see that they've sorted it out because obviously that's what we need to happen. Rory says, Mitchell fell out with Levy. He will hate the Glazers, says Rory. Well, he may not hate the Glazers because he may not have to work with the Glazers. Yeah. Do you think Varane is becoming a caravan, says Wizzer? I don't even understand what that means. And Just Keevan says, Varane is a professional, unlike some people. Hey, hold on a minute. I love Raphael Varane. I want him back playing for Manchester United. Absolutely, categorically, yes, I do. But that performance against Copenhagen, there was visibly a problem there. Let's be honest. And you have to be fair and you have to be honest because otherwise you get accused of having agendas, which I just don't do. At the moment, Harry Maguire is playing very well for Manchester United and deserves his spot. And at the moment, Varane has not played to the level he should be and deserves to be on the bench. I think that's fair to say at the moment. I know what I'd prefer to happen, but we have to get back. Where do we get? And also, Dr. Kempo says it's just paper talk. It's not really paper talk, because I was speaking about this 2 or 3 weeks ago. There was, I say was, it's probably been sorted out now, but 2 or 3 weeks ago, there absolutely was an issue with Varan. I don't know what that issue was. I wish I did, but there was an issue. I mean, look, I actually thought at the time it was a hidden injury, but Ten Hag denied that and said it was about fitness, etc. So I don't know about tactics. Mark, do you think that Ten Hag has made up with Varan? So saying yes, because look, I like Ten Hag and I want him to do well, and I really like Varan. And the thing about Varan is, I think Sir Alex Ferguson tried to sign Varan. That's how long Varan's been around. And I've always been a massive admirer of Varan and Casemiro. I never thought they'd play for Man United, but they were always two players I really, really liked. There's a fantastic documentary, I think it's still on Prime, about Varan. And you see what the personality is. You see how hard he had to work for his career. There is no ego there with Varan. So I think this was just probably professional pride that caused all this. And I don't think it'll be hard to get it back. I don't think Ten Hag has any reason to fall out with Varan. And I don't think Varan has any reason to fall out with Ten Hag. I just think that there was a period in time where they sort of butted heads, and I think they'll sort it out now. We desperately needed a director of football for club philosophy, also set plan, and as Ten Hag, his transfer target, questionable, border, idiotic in some sense, says Jay. Well, look, the only way, going back to what we were talking about before, the only way that the Glazers won't be buying players for Ten Hag in January is if Ten Hag's not there. And then we go full circle to last night's show, where, admittedly, we've got a very hard December. There are people out there that feel that Sir Jim will remove Ten Hag, because that happens a lot when you're new. You want to get rid of the old. I'd be massively disappointed if he was coming into the job looking to do that, but it's not unusual. It's not unusual for a new owner or partial owner or whatever. Let's be honest, effectively in some ways he is a new owner because he's running the football side. He's not running the commercial side. He doesn't own the club, but he's running the football side with Sir David Brailsford and Joel Glazer. And he may well come in and go, look, he wanted the Chelsea job. He wanted to own half of Barcelona. So he's got ideas about what he likes in football. He's a Chelsea season ticket holder. He's a Man United fan. He's not somebody who doesn't know football. And what I'm trying to say here is if I took over Manchester United, then I would keep Ten Hag because I like him. But if I could have any manager I wanted, would it be Ten Hag? Honestly, no. But I'm not telling you who I'd take because it's too controversial and clippable. But so I have a preference of the manager I would like at Man United. But in the circumstances, I want Ten Hag and I would give him the chance. That's not to say Sir Jim Radcliffe's not coming into this with his own ideas of what he wants. What if Sir Jim Radcliffe really wants a British manager? What if Sir Jim Radcliffe really likes Simeone football? Like, we don't know what style of football he wants. We've not heard about any of this yet. So Ten Hag has to be under the microscope. Of course he is, amongst other areas as well. And if results don't happen and he's not totally keen on him, then he's going to be in big trouble. But we're not going to know about this until we get running. I mean, look, director of football, CEO, they've got to go. They've got to go. They're not performing well. Ten Hag, I think, has done well and deserves time. And I think Sir Jim will give him that time and support him. But I'm never going to sit here and say he's definitely going to do it because we don't know what his plans are. Who do you think SRAR will really do? Say these players need to go or create a squad like this, but ultimately the Glazers will say no, like always, says Brian. I'd take Pep over Klopp, though. I just wish Man United play like Man City. It's not Steve Bruce. You see, now I've set something off about who I would take. If I could take any manager at Man United, who would I take? I really want to tell you. I feel I want to tell you, but I don't want to create a little clip that will get taken out of context and I'll get a load of shit for something that's completely hypothetical and never will happen. So I always want to tell you, but I just think that this would be a little bit too controversial for people to understand. It's definitely not Gareth Southgate. It really isn't. I think it's controversial. I cannot just see Potter being new United manager's total football. All right, I'm going to take it. Look, I like what people are saying about Klopp. And if it was Pep or Klopp, I'd go with Klopp. I'd struggle to take Klopp because of the Liverpool thing. You know, you've got to live in reality. I can't take Klopp because he's managed Liverpool. So it's not Klopp. I can't do that. I do like him. I wish we'd got him 10 years ago. I think Man United would be in a much better position with Klopp. I don't think he wanted to come to United. I think he felt it was a mess under the Glazers, and he would have been a good choice. But he wouldn't be my choice now because we live in a real world, and he has managed Liverpool. My real world choice, if I could do it, would be Ancelotti. And it's controversial because people will go, "No, what you on about?" I've always been a massive admirer of Ancelotti. I've mentioned it on here since we started doing the channel. And I would take Ancelotti because he's been at so many different clubs and he's been remarkably successful. I mean, I can't believe he managed Everton, and what he did at Everton, when you look at what happened around him, was like winning the league because it was great. And I think that Ancelotti would come into that dressing room, command respect, demand respect, and he knows loads about football. And he has that pull as well. I just think he'd come in for 5 years and completely and utterly remodel that football club. And that's what I think we need. But it's controversial because it's not a long-term manager. And it's not necessarily a style of football manager, although he does have a style. But I think that is the closest we could get to what Sir Alex Ferguson was. And I think we need that. I think we need that. The one thing we've never been able to do, we did Moyes, which was a mistake, Van Gaal, which was a mistake, Mourinho, which was a mistake, and Ollie, which was a mistake. But we've never gone and got a manager that's not far off retirement, who's done it all and knows it all. And I think that is what we needed. Now, some people will say Van Gaal, but Van Gaal hadn't really done anything for a few years before Man United. He'd managed the national team. Had he been at Alkmaar or something, it'd been a long time since Van Gaal had been a credible club manager. Ancelotti's at Real Madrid now. He was at Everton before that. He's been at PSG, AC Milan. He's a fantastic coach. And if I could get him in for 5 years, I would do it. But it's pie in the sky. And in no way is that me saying, look, that can't happen. It's realistic in the sense that he's not a Liverpool manager or a Man City manager, but it won't happen, it can't happen, and we won't do it. But he's the only one I'd go for beyond Ten Hag at the moment. And I'm very, very happy with Ten Hag. But, as I say, Sir Jim Ratcliffe could come in, like me, and go, I really, really want a manager, and they're gettable. And we don't know. Does Ten Hag does Sir Jim like Ten Hag ball? Does he prefer Potter ball? Does he like Southgate? We don't know any of this stuff yet. We've got no idea what the blueprint of Sir Jim Ratcliffe is. And interestingly as well, Sir Jim Ratcliffe really shouldn't be making footballing decisions because he's never played football, which I don't really care about, but he's never coached, he's never been a director of football, he's never been a club owner. I mean, he has been at Nice, but I don't think he's been particularly hands-on. He's going to have to rely on people who know what they're on about. So therefore, it's all about what the CEO thinks, what the director of football thinks, and that's where you'll get your clues. I hope whoever takes the director of football job isn't afraid to challenge Ten Hag when it comes to his transfer topics and offers good alternatives. But that's what a sporting director does do, Jack. I hope, and nobody's mentioned this, and actually it's the most logical thing. Kevin, welcome to the Members Club. Mark, what would be the best CEO for Man United, says Kevin. Kevin, let me just say I hope, and I'll come back to that. But let me answer Kevin. The best CEO Man United can get, I don't have the name. All my requirements are, if I'm Sir Jim, is tell me who the 5 best CEOs are in football over the last decade. Give me the shortlist, and then let's talk them through. I don't need to know who the best CEO is, because I don't know who the best CEO is, but I need somebody to tell me who they are, and I need somebody to tell me how we get one. Because all I want is the best footballing CEO in Europe at Manchester United that suits Manchester United. So give me the shortlist and let's go through it. And to be fair, the guy that we're looking at, Blanc, looks good. I agree on Carlo, and I'd say Henkes, if he wasn't retired, what he did at Bayern before Pep was insane. The style of football was ruthless, says Sumi. And Mark, I hate the way Argentina treat Garnacho. They treat him like some kind of outsider just because he likes Ronaldo. Now he hasn't been called up, says Mohammed. But I think that would be good for us. You know, a young player with something to prove is a good thing. But what I haven't heard people say, and I really hope United do this, is that appointing a director of football shouldn't be about Sir Alex Ferguson, Sir Jim Radcliffe, Sir David Brailsford. That they shouldn't be making the decision on the director of football, because this is a sandwich. You've got Sir Jim, Sir David, Sir Alex, and Ten Hag. And the director of football has to operate in between. I'd be talking to Ten Hag. We should be talking to Ten Hag about the director of football as well. Because not that you're going to take his advice, but he should be part of the process. So if you're talking to Sir Alex and you're talking to Sir David, you've got to be talking to Ten Hag, because you've got to be saying, look, Eric, we're bringing in a director of football in the vision that we have. This is the vision we have. What do you think? And what do you think about the director of football? Because you're going to be working with him on a day-to-day basis. And what we don't want to do is put somebody in that doesn't fit with you, and then it's going to go wrong. I've heard nobody talk about that yet, and it's absolutely essential unless they're sacking Ten Hag. It's a waste of time to bring a director of football in that Ten Hag doesn't think he can work with. And that needs to happen. That needs to happen, because actually the closest relationship will be the sporting director and the manager. So Ten Hag does need to be consulted on this. Because if you bring a director of football in that wants to play football like, I don't know, Gareth Southgate, and then you've got Ten Hag, then the players that they put forward are going to be like magnets. They're going to go, no. I want a quick, creative, flair player up front. Well, I want a strong, good in the air, old-fashioned striker up front. Like they've got to be on the same page. Of course they have. I hope they do the right thing by bringing Ralph Rangnick back. He can be changed, says Zeus. Rangnick has not been mentioned, and I don't think Rangnick comes back for Manchester United. 65 years of age, it would be very, 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 very good. But there's just literally nothing about it. That was the ship we let sail. It's not turning back. It won't happen now. But it could have been great. But I also think sometimes you don't look back. A lot of what Ralph Rangnick said has now been established as fact. Do you need to bring him back, or do you try something that's going to use what he said in a different way? Show Jim some Goldbridge ball. He'll hire you in a second, says Lee. Eric Ten Hag needs to adjust his way, not other way round. He can leave if he can't adjust, says Nitin. Yeah, but that's just somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, Nitin, to be honest. I mean, come on. If you've got a manager and you bring in a director of football that's got a bit different philosophy, that's bullshit. Just sack the manager. You can't bring a director of football in who's got a completely different philosophy to the manager and say, get on with it. No, that's childish, immature, ridiculous. The vision has to marry up with everybody. Like, you know, it's like having a ball-playing goalkeeper, a ball-playing defence, and then a midfield that are no good on the ball. A bit like Man United at the moment, and we don't have a ball-playing defence. Everything's got to be in symmetry. Look at Manchester City. Pep Guardiola has a director of football that he's worked with previously and is completely in tune with Pep Guardiola, but he's willing to say no to him if he needs to. And the team and the vision runs all the way through. That's what you need to do. We've not had it. We've not had that. We need to have that. Ten Hag worked wonders with Ajax. He's not become bad overnight. It's the players he is dealing with. He wants hard work and early nights from them. No clubbing or chatter, says Nobby. And look, I mean, we're not talking massively about the football tonight, but look at United over the last few games. Grind it out, survival football. Can't play out from the back. Bought a goalkeeper to play out from the back. He doesn't do it because he can't do it because he hasn't got players to receive the ball. So we're nowhere near the philosophy that Ten Hag wants to play, and that's the job that we need to bring in. Massacre says, are we live? Well, we've been live for about 40 minutes, mate. 40 minutes. What's wrong with the mic? A few people are saying something about the mic again. We've been talking for 44 minutes. Mark, do you think Sir Jim will buy the shareholders? What was that? Mark, do you think Sir Jim will buy the shareholders' stocks first before buying out the Glazers? Says Gamer. No, because he's buying 12.5% from the Glazers and he's buying 12.5% from the shareholders. What he does next after that, we're still waiting to find out. I want Sir Alex to enjoy his retirement the way our fans are now. If things don't go well, they will forget everything he's done for the club, says Zeus. No, Sir Alex, I actually don't have a problem with Sir Alex getting involved. As I said, he turns up to every Manchester United game. His wife has just passed. And this could be the purpose in his life as an advisor. He's not going to be... Sir Alex Ferguson won't be presented as CEO or director of football. He'll be an advisor. And at his age, that's perfect. He's just somebody that they can use for information and knowledge and advice. And that's it. Yeah, that's basically it at the end of the day. I'm actually not trolling. It's going in and out for me. I'll leave and come back, see if that works. I don't know. To be honest, I had that problem earlier on. So I can't say that you're wrong. But I'm not too sure what it could be. So we'll just have to get on with it. It was CEO and I had to bring in a new manager. I'd probably go for Nagelsmann. While it is risky, I think he would have a hunger to prove himself against the big names like Pep and Klopp, says Jack. Isn't Nagelsmann in a job? Or have I dreamt that? Is he not the German manager or something? I think he's Germany coach. I'm sure Nagelsmann's got a job. I know he didn't have a job, but I think he's got a job now. Do you honestly want him to have a poll on the mic? No, we're not doing that. Fergie's been there every game, lost his wife recently, and Bobby, says Devils 58 Red. And Bielsa would be good short-term, Mark, would demand respect and take no crap in the dressing room. He's also a very attacking coach. What, as manager, Kyle? Why would we do that? Why would we do that? Doesn't make any sense to me. He will be... Don't know what that even means, Matt. Don't even know what that means, Matt. See, we've lost it now. We've gone from a talk about what Sir Alex can do as an advisor to people putting forward Bielsa and Conte as Man United manager. You always said, let Sir Alex retire. What changed, says Rory? Mate, nothing has changed. And I know I've said that. 100% I've said that. But I think that was when people were talking about bringing him back as a manager. Sir Alex Ferguson shouldn't be anywhere near management. It's not fair. You know, he's had his own health issues. But what you've got to remember, Rory, is that Sir Alex Ferguson might want to do this. He might want to be an advisor to Manchester United. And in which case, why would you not do that? Obviously, there's a duty of care to him to make sure he's not doing too much. But, I mean, as I said, we don't want to delve into people's personal lives, but he's just recently lost his wife. Football's his life. Maybe that's his purpose in life now. You know, you lose your long life partner. Maybe this is what he wants to do. And you'd be a fool of an owner of any football club not to tap into that knowledge. And if he wants to do it for Man United, they'd be foolish not to do it. Especially when for the last 10 years, we've basically had a bunch of prats giving us advice. Mark, I just got my Christmas jumper. Looks great, says Jims. Yes, remember, we've got some new Christmas jumpers out now as well. You can check them out. They'll be under the video. Mick says, U-turn bridge. Well, two things, Mick. One, only an idiot is stubborn and isn't open to changing their minds. And two, when I spoke about that before, I was talking about him coming back as a manager. And also, when I spoke about that before... his wife was still alive, and you know, why should he leave his retirement for that? What I'm saying, he's had a major life change in the last few weeks, and this might be, you know, something that helps him cope for the next couple of years or so. Why would you deprive it? If he wants to do it, why would you not do it? But what I was saying is Man United shouldn't be knocking on his door asking him to do it. He has to want to do it. Bielsa, we're not talking about Bielsa. Bring Roy Keane back too, says Marvin. Well, you know what I think about this. Not interested in bringing ex-players back. I don't really think they add any value. I think you can go out and just get the best there is. That's what I would do. Bring Sir Alex Ferguson back. Hasn't he always been on the board? Isn't he part of this decline, whether we like to accept it or not, says Gary. He has always been on the board. I don't think they've used him over the last 10 years. I don't think Sir Alex Ferguson's been massively involved over the last 10 years, in my opinion. I think he's spoken to some managers, but I don't think he's been involved to the extent that maybe we're going to get him involved in now. And as I say, 73% of you would have him involved. We need Ten Hag to have a Gil-Alex collaboration with someone, says Gavin. Thank you very much for your super chat. And also, they should... Yeah, we've got some right trolls in the chat tonight. Really, really have. Just talking about positive things. Don't forget, on Saturday, I'm doing the morning show at 10 o'clock, and then more or less straight after that, I'm going over onto my all-day charity stream that I do every year in November, raising money for people with terminal illness. We've raised over £100,000 over the last few years, so really looking forward to that on Saturday. Obviously not looking forward to, you know, some of the stories we'll have to tell, and unfortunately, only yesterday, a friend of mine had their funeral, having died with cancer very, very young. That's why I do it every year, and that's why hopefully a lot of you will get involved again. So don't forget, on Saturday, if you're at a loose end or you do have a spare hour or two, please do join in and be part of that, because it makes such a difference to people who are people and their families and friends who are suffering with terminal illness. It's the best stream we do every year because it's the one that matters the most. So please do keep that in mind on Saturday. It'd be great to have your company. What will we be doing? Well, a lot of it's very interactive. There's a lot of chat and conversation that goes on. I always describe it as a bit of a going for goal bridge, FIFA. We do a draft, which is very interactive. Fall Guys, film watch-alongs, horror games. I'm probably going to do a bit of Grand Theft Auto racing. And somebody said, why don't you do Fortnite? Well, I've never bloody played it, so you might get to see a bit of that as well. But it's very interactive, and you're very, very welcome. Rory says he wasn't hating, just curious, but you make sense. Thanks, Rory. Legend. We need National Geographical Bridge. Well, I'm more than happy to do questions and quizzes. That's what it's all about. Nobody wants Fortnite, says Ladios. Good. I don't have to do it then. GTA 6 is coming out soon, says Marvin. It won't be out by Saturday. And Radcliffe about to finish on a high. Rationale Ratatouille. Okay. Okay, well, that's that. That's the show for tonight. Again, another fantastic 8 o'clock show in the international break. I said this last international break. In some ways, I think the 8 o'clock show is better in the international break because we delve into conversations that we probably don't get to do when the games are coming thick and fast, because it's always about who's playing here, who's playing that, do this, do that. Whereas these are, you know, they've been really good shows this week again. Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. I thought there was something else I needed to announce, but I can't remember what it was. Yeah, don't forget the Christmas show. Links in the video description for that. And we've got some new designs on Christmas jumpers. I think there's a Merry Rasmus one out as well. Check that out. The Baubles one's really good as well. I'm looking forward to get that. But links in the live chat and below the video for those. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care whatever you're doing. Thanks for tuning in tonight, and I will speak to you tomorrow morning. I'm a little bit early tomorrow, 9:45, because I've got to go and get a haircut at 11. So if I start at 10, I'll miss my haircut. So I will be live at 10, but I'll also be live 15 minutes before. So just to keep that in. You can get the 5 Cantonars jumper as well, Marcus. It's still there. It's a classic. It's still there. And you can get the Goldbridge Merry Christmas, you Pratt, with my face on it, if you want. I've yet to go out on a night out and see somebody with that. I think I'd find that really weird. But cheers, everyone. Speak to you later. Thank you very much.